You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And remember, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Audible, and iHeartRadio. But if there's a podcast platform, we are on it. Just search the Brian Craig Show podcast, and it'll come up. And, of course, we also upload the podcast to YouTube on my YouTube channel. So follow me there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, well, Ron DeSantis, it's amazing what he did today. And I want to talk about the great thing that Ron DeSantis did. Late yesterday, Ron DeSantis' office released a statement that he was going to make a big announcement today. And Fox News was pumping it all morning. Yeah. And it is a huge announcement, and it is a game changer for our entire country. But I just want to talk about what Fox was doing before we get to this. He had his press conference late in the morning. Fox knew what time the press event was going to be. It was a major press event here in Florida. They knew what time it was going to be. And this is something that I'm not just picking on Fox on this. This goes for all of the cable news, all of them, except Newsmax does not do this. They know when something is going to be. They don't tell you when it is going to be. And they tease it as if it's coming up, even though they know the exact time it's scheduled without telling you, to keep you in front of your television watching hour after hour after hour after hour. And
Fox is
hate
really
that.
bad about
hate that.
Really bad.
It's awful, and it's insulting to the audience, and I don't like it. It really drives me nuts. And when I saw this morning, when they said it, they were kind of implying, first off, I think they knew what it was, okay?
You think so? Because
of where it was and everything else. Yes, I think they knew what it was, and they sat on the story. That's okay. They might have gotten a confidential tip from DeSantis' people,
Maybe.
And, they have that confidence. I get that. But this teasing they were doing, or in the early morning hours, all the way up until it happened, it's just, I don't care for that. But anyway, Ron DeSantis did something amazing. Now, we have a lot of problems in this country. One of the biggest problems is crime. And the reason that we have a crime problem in this country is because about 15 years ago, George Soros started backing prosecutors and other people that are involved with law enforcement around the country in elected office. And here we are 10 or 15 years later, and we have state's attorneys all over this country, in Florida as well, believe it or not, who have no bail, don't charge criminals, let criminals run free. And Ron DeSantis did something absolutely amazing today.
Let me ask you, why is George Soros doing? And we know it's George Soros because DeSantis and all these other people mention him by name. They tell you that they're backed by Soros. Why is he doing this? What is his purpose of supporting these DAs to let criminals free?
That's easy. George Soros, he's very, very rich. He's a very evil man. Remember, he turned people into the Nazis in the Second World War. Yeah. That's how old he is. It's a power thing. It makes him feel powerful that he has all
very
this
expensive.
Influence. Yeah, well, he's got money to burn, and he's 200 years old.
It's like a hobby to him, I guess.
Yeah,
some people play golf like Trump. Some people mess with people's lives.
Well, what he does is just that. He likes to mess with countries. It's like it's his hobby.
Yeah.
I know that trivializes it, and a lot of people say he's evil. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. But I don't think
sociopathic.
I don't think he has like a devious plan other than he just enjoys destroying countries, destroying communities,
especially
and he likes
country.
The power.
Yeah.
He likes the power.
I think so.
So Ron DeSantis suspended a Democrat Florida prosecutor that was backed, by the way, by George Soros for ignoring the law and refusing to prosecute cases violating the 15-week abortion ban and sex changes on children. Listen to this. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and again, his name is not DeSantis, it's DeSantis.
DeSantis, that's how he says it. So I think we take it. Somebody said it's a Greek. That it's a Greek, a lot of Greek names end in
oh, really?
IS, like
DeSantis?
Papadopoulos, and I don't know. They end in S.
I don't know.
So somebody said it's a Greek name. I think Katina, who is Greek, in the chat told us it's a Greek name.
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Yeah, well, he is the only one who says DeSantis.
That's true.
Everyone else calls him DeSantis. I don't think he minds. But,
I don't know. He accentuates the D every time he says his name. DeSantis. I think he does want people to say
it. If I ever interview him, which I probably will at some point, I might ask him or his staff, do they mind if I say DeSantis or should I say DeSantis? Because I'm afraid if I say DeSantis, a lot of people may not know who I'm talking about.
They will. People are not stupid
I don't know.
here.
Okay.
Why don't you just say it properly?
Because nobody will know who I'm talking about.
That's not true.
All right, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Thursday today suspended a progressive state attorney who he accused of ignoring the law from refusing to enforce recent measures on abortion and gender-affirming surgery. State attorney for this judicial circuit, Andrew Warren, has put himself publicly above the law, Governor DeSantis said. In June 2021, he signed a letter saying he would not enforce any prohibitions on sex change operations for minors. A sex change operation should never be performed on a minor. It's an irreversible thing, and they're too young.
That's child abuse.
DeSantis accused Warren, this is the Soros-backed prosecutor, of being funded by billionaire George Soros. Yeah. He also said that after the Supreme Court overturned abortion rights, I'm reading from a liberal article, abortion rights, Warren signed a letter saying he would not enforce any laws relating to protecting the right to life in the state of Florida. Warren, this is the fired prosecutor, told the Tampa Bay Times, that's the area that he was in, Hillsborough County, which is Tampa, in 2020, said he believes Soros did donate money to his campaign. He sounded like he was unsure, though. Florida was among the states to limit abortion access, reducing the legal window to 15 weeks. Well, 15 weeks, that's 4 months.
Yeah, it should be less than that.
I mean, 4 months, that's a long time.
It should be, if anything, 6 weeks, no longer than that.
Governor DeSantis.
There's definitely a heartbeat by then.
So anyway, I'm not going to go through all this because this is a liberal. I didn't realize how left-wing. This is an opinion article. I didn't realize how left-wing this article was, so I'm not going to give you their liberal slant on it.
Basically suspended this guy because he's weak on crime.
Well, this is an amazing thing. I know they had this recall out in California, but this is the first time that I personally know of where an elected official has come out and removed from office, because that's what he's done, one of these Soros-backed pro-criminal prosecutors, state's attorneys. They have different names in different states. I've never seen, and this very well could become a major trend in this country of other governors doing similar things. And remember, Ron DeSantis, he doesn't mess around. He got rid of the Broward County sheriff after the Parkland shooting. I mean, he doesn't mess around. But this one here is really an amazing thing.
Well, what's amazing is you have places like California where they had to have a whole recall and get names and have a certain number of names and then recall the person. It was a big, long process. He's not making that happen here. He just flew down to Tampa and took care of business. Boom, sign of the pen, done. He's out. And I think you're right. I think this is going to start a trend. He's a true leader. He's got guts. He doesn't care what the woke people say. He does what's right. And they had a whole press conference today. There must have been 30 people up on that stage, and they were all taking their turn speaking. They were very glad. They had a lot of sheriff's guys there. They were very happy. And they said this guy has been very soft on crime. He's endangering the citizens of Tampa, which is one of the fastest growing cities in Florida right now. It's huge. And they were thanking him for showing up and for doing what he had to do to stop this guy. I'm not sure the process does DeSantis replace him, or do the people vote?
He'll have to appoint a replacement, and then there'll be an election because it's an elected office, so someone just can't take over.
Hopefully other governors will do this and not force the citizens to get signatures and go through this long, drawn-out process, and they'll just go and take care of business in 5 minutes.
This thing that DeSantis did today, which is absolutely amazing. You hear me talk about this sometimes. President Trump has changed the standard of what voters' expectations are of our elected Republican leaders, and what people expect now because Trump did this. They want results. They don't want someone that have done what these other Republicans do. They go out there and say, I'm against crime, and I want to overturn Roe v. Wade, and don't do it. They just talk about things. Mm-hmm. DeSantis is a doer like Donald Trump, and so will Kari Lake and others. They're all doers. But this is amazing. I think this will be a new trend. Now, since I just mentioned the name Kari Lake, we'll talk about that. Kari Lake is ahead over 12,000 votes in Arizona.
She's already acting as if she's won. She's thanking her husband today. This is their anniversary. Mm-hmm. She thanked him. She said he helped me with the campaign. He's been right beside me. I look forward to serving the people of Arizona. I mean, she's basically in. Yeah. Just the media, like you said, they don't want to give her that credit.
This is the deal. Okay, this is the deal. President Trump had a complete clean sweep in the primaries this week. Every candidate he endorsed won. What they're doing with Kari Lake is they're just dragging it out as long as they can. So when the announcement finally comes, it's not a big deal. They don't want Kari Lake and President Trump to have a big victory. By the time they officially announce it, it'll hardly be a news story, because we already know and we've been talking about it for a week or 2 weeks, however long it takes them to do it. That's what's going on here. They don't want her to get a bump in popularity with a big victory event. So they're dragging this out. This is a media psyops operation that is that's going on here. Now, I want to talk about something that I'm getting some grief from people. And this is this Brittany Griner.
Oh, yeah. So
okay, the basketball player.
Me too in a second.
And I want, before I talk specifically about Brittany Griner, I mentioned something to Steve Kane on the radio today. Steve Kane and I, these guys are both dead. They passed away. Steve Kane and I were friends when they were alive with two of the original Black Panthers. In fact, two of the most famous Black Panthers. And I don't mean these wannabe new Black Panthers that you see. I'm talking about the real deal, and I'm talking about
the OG,
the real deal, the guys that were the Black Panthers back in the '60s. Okay, Tony Bryant, who, he was the enforcer for the Black Panthers. If somebody was a rat, he'd go kidnap them and take care of business. And he was basically like a hitman, and he hijacked a plane out of Miami to Cuba, and that's
pretty hardcore.
And we were also friends with Eldridge Cleaver, who, I mean, these guys. I remember when I first met these two guys. Eldridge Cleaver was the propaganda minister for the Black Panthers in the '60s, and he was involved in this ambush that they made on the police out in Oakland. They ambushed a bunch of cops, shot them. They got and they got caught, and Eldridge, Steve and I had dinner with him one night at a bowling alley. Can you believe this? We had dinner at a bowling alley with Eldridge Cleaver, and he was talking to me about this ambush on the cops. He says, we spent weeks planning that ambush. We had everything worked out. We had all the details, week, day and night, but we didn't think about planning our escape, so we got caught. But anyway, I know you're saying, well, why would you be friends with these two people? Let me tell you why. Both of them. Okay, and I'm not saying this will happen with Brittany Griner, but let me tell you something. These guys were the Black Panthers of the 1960s, Eldridge Cleaver and Tony Bryant. Eldridge Cleaver is very famous. I was at a museum with my daughter, and they had an art exhibit about Eldridge. I was watching a science fiction show on Fox a few years ago where they went into a parallel universe, Fringe. Remember Fringe? They went into a parallel universe. It was on Fox, and they went to Eldridge Cleaver Park. So these guys are the real deal. I mean, they're like very famous, radical Black revolutionaries. And when Tony Bryant, you can look all this up and verify it. When he hijacked the plane from Miami to Cuba, they were communist, okay? And he thought he was going to be welcomed by Fidel Castro. Castro put him in prison. In a work camp, and he escaped after 12 years. Eldridge Cleaver, he did time in prison and traveled the world, these communist countries. Both of them, especially Tony when he came back from Cuba, the workers' paradise, both of them became conservative Republicans. They totally became awakened to what communism really was and how great this country was. I mean, I'm talking about, there was no Donald Trump then, okay, because they died a long time ago. This is like the 90s. They were like Reagan conservatives, okay? So, and I that is an amazing thing, and I was very lucky to get to know those guys. They are historical figures, and I remember in 8th grade, one of my teachers did an entire lesson plan on them, and Tony in particular, Tony Bryan. They were telling he came back. Now he's a big Republican, and people are like, what? How could this be? And I got to know these guys. So, with that being said, Brittany Grenier, if she were to come back, I'm not saying that she would have that experience. Okay. She got sentenced to 9 years in a penal colony. I guess that means a gulag. I don't know. 9 years. Got like a maximum.
Does not sound fun.
I don't believe Brittany Grenier will survive it. I think Brittany Grenier will die in that work camp. I don't support Black Lives Matter. I don't support her. I think she was wearing a BLM shirt when she was arrested. I've seen video of her at the airport. I think it's the one where she got arrested. And she had a shirt on that said BLM all over the back of it. So, but she is still an American. And I don't want to see an American tortured and left to die in some gulag in Russia. All the time you hear about American hostages, I'm not talking about, back in the embassy in Iran, but you hear from time to time, even when President Trump was in his first term, a U.S. person being held as a hostage or in prison in Iran. You hear about people that are being held in North Korea sometimes, like Warm Beer that Trump got back. There are two types of people who are Americans. There are two types of Americans that are held in North Korea and Iran. The first type are they're spies for the United States spying on North Korea or Iran. That's one group. And the other group are liberal lunatics. Conservative people are smart enough as an American not to go to Iran or North Korea. So anytime you have these people that are brought back, they're liberal Looney Tunes, okay? Anti-American liberal Looney Tunes, but they're still Americans. And I hear a lot of people say, let her rot, let her rot. A lot of MAGA conservative friends of ours, and I mean some of you listening, probably were a Democrat, right? Back when Obama was president or Clinton was president, right? You probably were a Democrat. Then Trump came down the escalator and you were red-pilled, right? A lot of new conservatives that were red-pilled during Trump, and they were liberals their whole life, still have a little bit of that cancel culture in them. And because she's BLM and so radical, and likely would come back here if she were released tomorrow, trashing this country and take over BLM from Kaepernick, they say, let her rot, let her rot. I don't care if she dies. That's not the Christian way to be, is it? Is that the way to be to a fellow American? You don't agree with them politically, so let them die in a gulag? I don't think so.
I don't want her to rot, and I think the sentence is too severe. I'll tell you that for CBD. I think a year, 6 months to a year is more appropriate. I think 9 years is way too harsh. I mean, people that kill people get less than that sometimes if it's like second or third degree murder, or a DUI where like Paul Pelosi where you hurt somebody or whatever. So I think the sentencing is too harsh, but I don't feel sorry for her at all.
I don't feel sorry for her.
And I don't care to see her come home. When you go to another country, this is a person who has publicly bashed America, has walked off the playing field when they played the national anthem. Oh, yeah. She has complete disdain, disrespect for this country, and she thinks all white people are slave owners. I promise you that.
Yes.
Including you. She would spit on you if she saw you in your MAGA hat. I promise you that. And she's like 8 feet tall. So it would take about 5 minutes for the spit to reach her head. For anybody, because she's so freaking huge. I do not care to see her come home. She went to another country. She broke their laws. When you go to other countries, didn't you see Midnight Express? When you go to other countries, it's not America. They have other laws.
Yes.
And she's a typical entitled, elitist, liberal celebrity who thinks they're above the law. And I think that, I'm sorry, I don't want her to rot. I think the sentencing is too severe. But I don't think they need to swap. Do you think they should swap an arms dealer for this woman?
No, that's a little much.
I mean, come on.
That's a little much.
I'm sorry. It is not a fair. It's like that swap that Obama made. 1 American terrorist for 5. I don't think that Biden is going to get her out of there. I don't think he has the capacity. I don't think he cares. I don't think he knows what the hell's going on from day to day. So I don't think they will get her out of there. I don't think any deal will be made. I do think this, though. I think if Trump was in office, he would get her out of there, even though she probably hates his guts and she probably thinks he's a racist bigot.
Yeah,
I think he would get her out because I think he would have the attitude you have that she's American. But there's other American. There's a teacher that's been there for a year who had the same problem, had marijuana or CBD, and he's been sentenced to 9 or 10 years too. Mm-hmm. So if they're going to get her, they got to get him.
Yeah,
it's only fair. He's been there longer. Here's the deal. You go to another country, don't take drugs of any kind, way, shape, or form in your luggage. Just know that from the bat because they probably go out of their way to search the luggage of Americans, especially athletes, high-profile people. I think they saw her coming. Obviously, you could a mile away. She stands out like a sore thumb over there. And they're like, something's going to be going on here. She's got like dreadlocks. And I mean, come on. She's like screaming cannabis when she's walking around. So, that's the way it is. I don't think they should have her released. I'm sorry. I don't want her to be maimed or hurt or anything like that. But she hates this country. Anybody who walks off the playing field during the national anthem, as far as I'm concerned, they can go to hell.
Yeah. No, I believe me.
Sorry.
Believe me. But I don't want her to... she's still. I would not want. I give you an example. I would not want a liberal president to let someone rot in Russia or anywhere else because they're MAGA.
She has a better chance of getting out under Trump than she does under Biden.
Yeah.
And if she's still there, and when Trump gets in, I bet he'll get her out. The first thing he does.
She may get.
He'll get her right out.
She may get out on Inauguration Day 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious.
She may.
I think he would do that, and I would totally support his decision. I personally don't know if I would do it, but if he did it, I would respect him for it because you know what it shows? It shows American power and American strength, which Biden doesn't have.
Speaking of the oppressed in this country, I want to talk about Mike Lindell, who is just facing things that the rest of us could not imagine. He is being personally sued. His company's being sued. It's just terrible what he's going through, right? Why? Because he supports Donald Trump, because he's MAGA. He fights for Trump. He's been kicked out of all the major retailers, including Walmart, which was a major blow. And Mike Lindell has been a supporter of everything I do, the radio show, the podcast, my YouTube channel, everything for years now. And I want to take a moment to tell you guys about one of my favorite MyPillow products. We have almost everything. I mean, I interviewed Mike Lindell a couple weeks ago. I said, I live in a MyPillow house. And he laughed. And I went through everything I have. And I probably have as many MyPillow products as he has in his house. We have everything. But one of my favorites are the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, which right now are buy one, get one free when you use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, at mypillow.com. And I'll tell you two things that I love about them, okay? We have both the flannel and the regular, okay? It's summertime. It is summertime. It is hot. I don't care where you are in America.
It's so hot. It's awful.
But we're in Florida, and it's really hot in Ron DeSantis' free Florida. And I don't understand how it works. I don't know. I just know it works. Mike Lindell's MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets perfectly regulate your body temperature. Your body temperature, even in these hot summer months, is the perfect temperature each and every night. In the wintertime, it did the same thing. They regulate your body temperature. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
They're the nicest sheets I've ever had, and I'm very picky about linens.
Yeah.
They're soft, but not like too soft. They're just the right amount of softness, but they're still like sturdy and hold up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they're very soft and comfortable. And it's like, honestly, when I get into bed every night, how many times have I said to you, oh my gosh, I love these sheets.
Oh, I can't. I love it. I love going to bed at night.
It's so hard to get up in the morning, I tell you that.
Let me tell you, when I go to bed at night and I get I'm on top of the bottom sheet and under the top sheet, it's like immediate relaxation. I feel like I've had a massage. It's that.
Really, they are really nice.
The second thing about them that I just was blown away by when we got the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets and we made the bed for the first time. Kathy and I make the bed together. The bottom sheet on any other sheets that I've ever had my entire life prior to the 100% Giza cotton dream sheets from MyPillow, that bottom sheet you can never get all four corners on right. You can get two corners on. Third corner you can get on. That fourth corner is nearly impossible. And I cannot tell you how many times with the fourth corner on the regular traditional sheets, I'm using all my strength to get it over the corner, just enough of the mattress so it stays on. And I'm always terrified that my fingers are going to slip and I'm going to end up hitting my back on the knob on the dresser or up against the closet, depending on which part of the bedroom I'm in. With the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets, that fitted sheet, that bottom sheet fits on perfectly.
Oh, it really does.
And totally without effort. 2 fingers and a thumb, all four corners. Boom, 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 boom. It fits perfectly. So go to MyPillow.com. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and order your MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets. Buy one set, get a second set free. And remember, you can match it. You can get the second one at different size, different color, everything.
I recommend a regular and then the flannel.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal recommendation. But if you have different beds of different sizes, that's true too.
Yeah, you can do that.
Colors.
Yeah, get a set for your kids or your guest room.
Colors. There's a great selection.
So again, promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. Buy one set, get a second set free. All right, now Friday night in Wisconsin is a Trump rally. And and Newsmax has an advertisement that's been on the screen permanently all day long. So I am assuming Newsmax is preempting their primetime shows for it. The last rally, which was in Arizona on Friday, it was the Friday night after Ivana Trump passed away. Mm-hmm. Newsmax did not preempt; it didn't carry it.
Yeah, that was surprising.
And well, because it was up against their primetime lineup, and I think it caught them off guard. And they didn't realize, and it looks like that Newsmax has corrected that. Now, of course, the other places won't carry it, but this is the Wisconsin rally. This is important because Liz Cheney, she has her primary coming up, and that's,
that's Wyoming.
Well, no, but there's another one in Wisconsin. These rallies, these rallies that are coming up are going to be really pushing the news cycle because Liz Cheney is doing an interview tonight on Anderson Cooper, and they're promoting it all day on CNN, an exclusive interview with Liz Cheney. I don't care if this rally was in Hawaii, okay? It's on the eve of Liz Cheney, and Liz Cheney is not looking good. I saw her, and Trump is going to be all
she looks
over.
So sad.
He's going to be all over what this committee has been doing tomorrow night, which is Friday night at this rally.
I think reality is hitting in because it's not. And they've been interviewing her constituents on the news all the time, and they hate her guts. I mean, they hate this woman. She's like poison to them. They're like, no. I mean, they interviewed one person, and they said, are you going to vote for her? And they hell no. Hell no. They are so pissed at her for this committee. They feel she's abandoned Wyoming. She's never there. And it's so funny because Kevin Costner endorsed her, and her opponent, who's leading, said Kevin Costner's a fake rancher. I'm a real rancher. Well, she put him in his place. I mean, these celebrities, their endorsements do not help. So you have Kevin Costner, who's on a popular show, which I personally think sucks. Brian likes. I think it's boring.
The first season was good.
Yellowstone's awful.
The first season was good, and I don't know who calls it anti-woke.
He's a rancher in Wyoming or something on the show, not a real rancher. So he gives his endorsement like he's has real skin in the game or does the show take place in Montana? I don't even know.
I can't remember if it's Wyoming or Montana.
But anyway, he endorsed her for some stupid reason, and her opponent made fun of it, saying he's a fake rancher and I'm the real deal. The truth is, she has Trump derangement syndrome. She has abandoned her job. And she has been obsessed. She is totally being manipulated by her father because I just saw a video he put out. I don't know how dangerous Donald Trump is.
Wow.
I tried to bring it up, but when I did it, the tweet was removed. And he's there in his hat saying how dangerous Donald Trump is and all this. She is totally doing the bidding of the Cheneys and the Bushes. And she has fallen into this trap, and it's going to cost her career.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was just reading an article, too. They have nothing. they keep interviewing people. It's kind of like when you watch like an ID show. I always say this, even though Trump didn't commit a crime, but when you see these ID shows, the police keep interviewing people and widening their net when they have nothing.
Yeah.
Well, let's go interview this guy. They just keep interviewing and interviewing when they really have no evidence of anything.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. She keeps interviewing people. They're widening their net. This is never going to end. This will keep going on, but she won't be there in November to continue. She'll be done. So will Kinzinger.
So here's
never going to wrap up for them.
Now again, I know you guys don't miss any Trump rallies, either do we. But this one in Wisconsin, this could be interesting because what's going to happen tonight. That's how the news works. Okay, so Liz Cheney is going to do this interview tonight with Anderson Cooper.
It'll be pathetic.
Tomorrow, all day long on CNN, they're going to air clips of it and have segment discussions of the Liz Cheney interview about Trump at January 6th. President Trump is going to be flying to Wisconsin for the rally. He's going to be watching CNN tonight because he'll see her interview, and he will watch and see what she says about him. So by the time he gets on stage, he's going to be fired up about Liz Cheney, and I really hope he goes off on her. She's a terrible person. I'll tell you, she's worse than the people on The View, and I'll tell you why. Her father lied about weapons of mass destruction. 1 million people are dead because of that. Put the entire Middle East in chaos. And I don't know how many people have been wounded and maimed and have their lives destroyed. But Liz Cheney and her family, they have everything they have. They're war criminals and war profiteers. These are that's like the lowest type of person you can be as a war profiteer. And that's what they are. They are terrible people. Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about, but make sure you tell all your friends. Trump rally Friday night in Wisconsin, and I'm pretty sure Newsmax is carrying it live. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll take a quick break and be right back after this.
Jewelry makes you feel special, and personalized jewelry is even better. Exclusively on Etsy, the shop specially for you. That's the letter U and all one word on Etsy.com. Sell custom jewelry that's as unique as you are. The items that's specially for you on Etsy come with Chinese, Korean, Japanese, or English text. Whether you want a name on a bracelet, keychain, tie clip, a ring, necklace, and more. They have exactly what you were looking for. Specially for You works with two very talented designers, and their items are handmade in Seoul, South Korea. Ordering is easy. Just go to their shop, specially for you. It's all one word and the letter U on Etsy.com. Place your order, tell them the name you choose, your font, and your language. The items are top quality and shipped directly to you or the recipient of your choice. Everything in the shop looks great. You will be proud to wear and give as a gift jewelry from Specially for You on Etsy.com. Do you know someone dealing with substance abuse? If so, there's a book perfect for them. From author Stephen McDonald. Thanks for letting me share. This must-read book contains 368 quotes heard from recovering addicts and alcoholics. They are profound, funny, cringeworthy, memorable, and powerful. They will allow you to reflect, remember, and reassess your recovery. Thanks for letting me share is broken up into just 3 parts: getting here, staying here, and higher power. And take something from all of us as we continue to pray for those who haven't come in yet. Take what you want and leave the rest. Thanks for letting me share. From author Stephen McDonald. Order your copy right now. Available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, iTunes, and Audible.com. Thinking of buying a new mattress? Don't! Go right now to MyPillow.com and order your 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper for 50% off. But you've got to use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. This is the lowest price ever. It comes in all mattress sizes, from twin all the way up to California King, and every size in between. Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I had to read this story twice and look at the date and the timestamp on it, okay, to make sure that it was current, because this is interesting. Listen to this. Joe Biden has tested positive for COVID again. They say he still has a cough. Okay. They have kept his doctor away from the press. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know this is not an unusual opinion. Even President Trump posted this on Truth last week. There's something going on with Biden. This is beyond COVID. I don't know what it is, but there has been something that has happened to him health-wise. There is a major cover-up going on with Joe Biden, and they're using these COVID excuses to keep him isolated. And what the problem is, I don't know. Has he had a major slip with the cognitive problems? But he is much worse than we've been led to believe. I mean, how long has he been supposedly with COVID now? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Oh, I think almost a month.
And there has not been one single press conference with the White House doctor like Ronnie Jackson had about Trump. You know, when Trump had COVID, they had a press conference with the entire medical team from Walter Reed. You remember that? They came out, the whole thing. So it wasn't just Ronnie Jackson when he was White House doctor.
They were doing it every day.
Every day.
They were giving updates
and then
him,
after,
sometimes a couple times.
Yeah. So, of course, the press or extensions of the White House press office when there's a Democrat in there. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. But there is definitely much more going on with Joe Biden than just simple COVID. And they're hiding it from us. Now, this is absolutely an amazing thing. One of our political prisoners, who his name is Sean Michael McHugh, this is amazing. He says he wrote a tell-all letter from prison. He says, Ray Epps recruited me. Listen to this. This is in the Gateway Pundit. Oh. You have a megaphone. You need to tell people the plans. We are going inside. Ray Epps allegedly told a protester on Constitutional Avenue on January 6th. The protester was J6 defendant Sean Michael McHugh, who was set in the D.C. Gitmo for over a year in what is being described as inhumane conditions. McHugh is a father of four. He's a business owner from California. As of right now, at this moment, he has been held 427 days.
And you want Brittany Grenier to be set free.
I don't want her to be set free.
Well, you do.
I don't want her to be.
These guys are rotting away in jail.
I want this guy. I want this guy free too, Kathy. Well, okay. He's been held 427 days in the D.C. Gitmo. Yeah. He's facing 2 misdemeanor charges, 8 felonies, decades in prison.
Oh my gosh! What did he do exactly? What are they accusing him of? Sean
McHugh wrote a tell-all letter about his experience meeting Ray Epps and the observations he made of Ray Epps. And Ray Epps is just roaming free. And this is his letter, okay, that he wrote from the D.C. Gitmo. I don't want Brittany Griner free. I don't want her given a death sentence, Kathy. That's all.
No, but you said you wanted her home. You wanted her to be released.
Well, we can put an ankle monitor on her, throw her in jail for a while.
Give me a break.
I don't want her free. I just don't want her dead.
You're changing your thoughts now.
No, I'm not.
Because it's going into the proper perspective.
No. But this guy's definitely a political prisoner. Here's his letter from the D.C. Gitmo. My fellow patriots, I'm a January 6th political prisoner being held in the D.C. Gulag. My name is Sean McHugh. I'm being held in very inhumane conditions in the Department of Justice's effort to try and make me plead guilty under duress. I believe they're trying to do this because I had direct contact, as seen on video, with Ray Epps, an individual who has been reported by multiple media sources to possibly have FBI connections and involvement for incitement. At the very least, he appears to be a government cutout protected by a lawyer who was formerly known as an employee of the FBI. In fact, the FBI has covered for him by scrubbing his name from the most wanted list for January 6th after his identity was exposed. Then he goes on from the D.C. Gitmo. I encountered Ray Epps, the real de facto leader of January 6th, 2021, multiple times while in D.C. I had coincidental contact with Ray Epps throughout the day, and people who appeared to be working in concert with Ray Epps. Other than Capitol Police attacking peaceful protesters without provocation or warning, this is from his letter I'm reading from, Ray Epps was more responsible for the initiating the events that happened at the Capitol than anyone else. He is seen on video January 5th encouraging other patriots to go inside the Capitol, which is the very inception of the whole idea. However, he is still not indicted or spent one day in jail. I'm actually the one labeled as the de facto leader of January 6th by the government. He says, on the morning of January 6th, my mother, friend, and I were walking down Constitution Avenue towards Ellipse Park. I was talking into my megaphone, something about Joe Biden, when I was waved down by who I now know to be Ray Epps. We walked over to Ray Epps and associates who were wearing military colors. He was yelling, "We are marching over to the Capitol at 1 p.m. Whether Trump is done speaking or not, we are going inside." That's what Ray Epps was talking about. When we were close to Ray Epps, he put his hand on my shoulder and said to me, "You have a bullhorn. You have a loud voice to get the word out." Trying to place responsibility on me, Ray Epps said, "You need to tell people the plans. At 1 p.m., we're going inside the Capitol." Ray Epps said
This guy was everywhere.
Yeah, it goes on.
He was all over the place.
It's a very long letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's in the Gateway Pundit. But, I know when the Republicans take over both houses of Congress because, the way things are playing out, they're not going to be your standard Republicans. These are going to be MAGA Republicans that Trump has brought in. We're going to get real congressional hearings, not like this kangaroo committee, and find
Truth
out
always comes out
on television what really happened, including with Ray Epps. And, let's see what Liz Cheney has to say then. She's not going to be in Congress. She's not going to have the protections of Congress. And we're going to what those hearings are going to find out are a lot of things like about this, and also Liz Cheney covering up evidence in this January 6th committee like this. And what's happened, there was this guy who was sentenced to 7 years this week, one of the January 6th guys. And you saw his daughters came out and were blaming Trump and everything else.
Ridiculous.
Part of what they make you do at the sentencing is denounce Trump. And this is just what they used to do in the Soviet Union.
Well, I saw his son, and he looks like a typical soy boy Antifa.
Oh, yeah.
This is not an alpha male. I could tell you that. He's a beta for sure. And all his kids, I promise you, are Trump haters. And they probably hate their father for liking Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't think you had to persuade them too much to bash Trump if you see what his kids look like.
Yeah.
They're like the poster children for Antifa here.
Yeah.
The way I'm not saying they're in it, but that's how they look.
Yeah.
His son's got long hair. He looks like 100 pounds soaking wet. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think his kids like Trump anyway. They're more than happy to blame him for their father's problems.
So eventually everything will be out on the public record, or at least most of it. And that's going to be a glorious, glorious time. And
Look how much has come out with Russia, but does it matter? Do you ever hear people on the left that push that lie? Do you ever have them come out and admit we were wrong? And they'll never admit it.
And I tell you another thing.
As long as we know,
I've noticed about January 6th. Have you noticed how few books have been published about it?
Oh, yeah.
Usually when there's anything that involves politics, there's endless numbers of books about it, no matter what it is, from every angle you could possibly imagine. And there's been a major suppression over publication of books involving January 6th. I'm not saying none have been written or published, but you're not seeing the big major releases like you would normally see with things, but the cover-up will be exposed.
Well, right now, Ted Cruz is questioning Christopher Wray, I guess that's his name, the FBI director, about the FBI's role in the Governor Whitmer kidnapping. And I think what you're saying is true. I think when these Republicans, hopefully, when they take over, I think they're going to look into the FBI's role in January 6th, possibly, and what went on with that. That's why it's so dangerous. These liberals never learn. It's so dangerous for them to prosecute everything and bring everything, because then once they're no longer in power, things get reversed. Yeah. And then they're the ones under the microscope. It's like a never-ending, cycle that happens.
Growing up, they always had these things about J. Edgar Hoover and all this, and I always thought the J. Edgar Hoover stuff was just a bunch of conspiracy theory lunacy. And now everything that was ever said about J. Edgar Hoover, I believe to be true.
Yeah, I think it's continued. I think, it's probably been continuing since that time.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And if you remember, okay, Richard Nixon was brought down by Deep Throat, who we later found out was Felt, who was an FBI guy. The FBI brought down Nixon, and they used the liberal media, the Washington Post, Woodward and Bernstein, to do it. And that's just the way it is. But you know what, though? There's a big change in this country. It's been a big change because of Trump. And this new wave of Republican is unlike any wave we've seen. They're Carrie Lake and Ron DeSantis. There have never been Republicans like this. The Republicans, even during the Reagan era, were like country club types. They had this exclusive club. They didn't get much done. Ronald Reagan, the reason they hated Ronald Reagan, he wasn't as much of an outsider as Donald Trump was, but he still was an outsider because he was from California. And when he came to Washington, a lot of Republicans didn't like him because he was viewed as an outsider, and his top people he brought with him from California. And so he ran into some of this, not to the level of Trump, but the Republican Party has been transformed by Donald Trump since he's left office in ways that we haven't fully realized yet. Because
we'll definitely see it in November
because of some of these losers we have now. I want to talk a minute here about Nancy Pelosi's drunken trip to Taiwan. I mean, she looked totally hammered. She was talking yesterday in Taiwan about President Benjamin Franklin. And for those of you that are outside of the United States, Benjamin Franklin was never a president.
No.
And she looked totally hammered.
He's dead, by the way.
Yeah.
Long dead.
Yeah. But
he's one of the founding fathers.
These military moves being made around Taiwan by China, China should not be telling the United States who can go to Taiwan or not, what public officials should go to Taiwan. So I'm not saying she made the wrong choice going to Taiwan. I think Nancy Pelosi had no choice but to go to Taiwan. I think she did the right
thing. She had to.
But with that being said, okay, I think the reason she stumbled off so drunk, I think she was scared to death. And I know she's got a drinking problem anyway, probably. But I think she
does
was
own a vineyard.
I think she was really packing them back because she was afraid to fly there with all this stuff. But what's going on with China right now with these major military moves that's going on, this would not be happening if Trump was in office, okay? What they are doing is over the line. And if you remember when President Trump went to Korea, Kathy and I were talking about this before the show today, they were talking about how he was going to instigate a war and all of this stuff. Look at what Pelosi has done. Pelosi, this trip she took to Asia, the main reason she took there's several reasons, but the main reason she took it is because she knows she's not going to be speaker in a few months. And the Speaker of the House is treated like the President of the United States. They have like a plane similar to Air Force One. They have security briefings like the president gets because they're third in line, right? They have a security detachment like a president would have. And this is her last time that she can do an international trip with that level of prestige. So this is an ego trip for her. And look what she's done. She's caused complete chaos in Asia and very well may be responsible for China conquering Taiwan over this ego trip. And the reason
I think they were going to do it. I think they were going to do it anyway.
They wouldn't do this to Trump. And the way
but I think under Biden they were going to do it anyway.
Well, the reason they're doing it,
this is just their excuse,
is because we have a president who's not just a senile old man. He's been in isolation for weeks. We don't know what's wrong with him. And she comes stumbling out wearing a mask, drunk, and there's just no fear of the United States anymore. So that's why this is happening. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
So you want to find the right web hosting company that fits your needs, but you don't know where to begin. You need to head over to cheapwebhostingoffer.com. They test and compare the best web hosting providers on the market to help people just like you choose from a very large web hosting offer and find the best solution as web hosting. And right now at cheapwebhostingoffer.com, you can save up to 70% off hosting plans and get a free domain. It's great for anyone who wants to start an online business, whether you're talking about a website or blog. Choosing the best web hosting is tough. There are hundreds of options, and every web hosting claims to be the best one out there. It can be confusing, but it doesn't have to be. CheapWebHostingOffer.com do all the research for you. All you have to do is choose the right one for you. Go right now to CheapWebHostingOffer.com and save up to 70% off hosting plans and get a free domain. That's CheapWebHostingOffer.com. Are you looking for peace in your life? Do you feel isolated and afraid at times? The book from author David Hoffmeister, This Moment is Your Miracle, may be the book to get you back on track. Author David Hoffmeister is a world-renowned teacher of A Course in Miracles. This book reveals the profound power of the present moment and shows readers how tapping into it using practical insights and simple exercises can fortify your spirit against fear, break down perceived limitations, and your sense of separation. It can help you manifest a life of joy, oneness, and serenity. Inside This Moment is Your Miracle, you will find spiritual practices and tools to help you awaken from the nightmare of fear and isolation. Discover practical ways to cultivate acceptance, forgiveness, healing, and trust for healing yourself, your relationship, and the world. With this must-read and life-changing book as your guide, you'll learn how to trust your inner guidance, as well as find true freedom and peace of mind. There has never been a better time than right now. Order your copy on Amazon. This Moment is Your Miracle. From author David Hoffmeister.
See this guy with the pillows on Fox? My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. Where is Mike? He is the greatest. First of all, he does make a great product, great pillows. I actually use them, believe it or not. He's been a supporter from day one. The My Pillow guy, thank you. And he's been with us right from the beginning.
As always, President Trump is right. The My Pillow is so good, even President Trump sleeps on one. Support Mike Lindell, President Trump, and the Steve Kane Show at the same time. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout for huge savings on My Pillow products. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at mypillow.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much. And if you would like to support the show by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. All Patreon supporters have access to commercial-free editions of the podcast. We upload them to the Patreon page. And also, we do put exclusive content up there. Sometimes Kathy and I have Patreon-exclusive podcast episodes. I'll post exclusive segments. Yesterday, I posted my interview with Greta Van Susteren just by itself for Patreon supporters when I interviewed her yesterday. Kathy makes some graphic images that she puts up there, and there's things like that we do. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air shout-out on each and every episode, and our top Patreon supporters also are listed in the podcast episode descriptions, just by first name, but you do get the credit there, guys. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, and Leigh Paul. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support.
I want to bring up one thing, and we're not going to play the audio, but Dick Cheney has put out an ad. This is her Hail Mary, wearing his stupid cowboy hat, an ad for his daughter, how proud he is of her. And he said, in our nation's 246 years, there's never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. And I'm reading the threads on this on Twitter, and everybody agrees with me, calling this guy out for starting a fake war that lasted for 20 years, that killed or maimed millions of people in the Middle East and our own soldiers. I don't know how somebody like him can sit there and say Donald Trump is a threat to our country when he's a war criminal. He started a war that was not even necessary to profit from. And
he's a
his
terrible
family to
criminal.
Profit from.
He's a war
and
criminal.
He's got the nerve to sit here in an ad. Let me tell you, this is not going to help her. It is the Cheney dynasty is done, and it's going to die with his daughter. And he can say he's proud of her all he wants. Nobody's proud of him. Nobody's proud of her. And bye, Felicia.
And
Cheneys.
Not only is Dick Cheney a war criminal, and I voted and supported W and Dick Cheney.
Yeah,
I did not know that they were lying war criminals. Maybe some of you did, but I think a lot of you probably voted for them too, and I'm really upset that I did. But Dick Cheney isn't just a war criminal who got 1 million people killed and destabilized the Middle East and got us in this 20-year war and all this stuff. Remember when he was vice president, he shot his friend in the face hunting?
Yeah, nice guy.
And I'm starting to really, I haven't thought about that in a while. It just popped in my mind. He is such a sick, twisted person. I'm not so sure that was an accident when he shot his friend in the face.
I don't know.
And do you guys remember that? Can you imagine who shoots their friend in the face? I've been around guns my entire life. I've been hunting many, many times, and I do know that hunting accidents are something that happen on occasion. But
he's obviously a poor shot, or has really bad eyesight,
or he was pissed off at his friend.
Maybe they got in a fight.
Let me tell you, when you're a war criminal at that level, human life doesn't mean much to you, and. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? He shot his friend in the face, and it was like no big deal. Oh, okay, Dick Cheney, it's okay.
Well,
no arrest.
He greenlit a war that killed millions.
And Liz Cheney,
good luck,
and Dick Cheney calling into question the morality of Donald Trump when he is responsible for 1 million deaths, shot his friend in the face, and they were close friends, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
what would have happened
comical.
if he had killed his friend? What would have happened there?
Nothing.
A normal person would get arrested for third-degree manslaughter.
Yeah, but these are different. These are different. These are not normal people.
It's like a DUI.
Yeah, no, these are not normal people. You were telling me this article that you were reading about CNN is just dying.
This is Trump just retruth this from Hannity.com. The CNN circles the drain.
The CNN.
CNN.
END.
Like
yeah, that's a good clever.
CNN circles the drain. I like that too. Ratings plummet and cash drying up. According to a report from the Daily Caller, CNN is on track to have its profitability below the 1 billion mark. I didn't realize it was even worth that much as the network's ratings decline. Sources familiar with the matter told the New York Times. Well, this is a global news network. They've been around a long time, so I guess globally maybe 1 billion is not that much. This is the first time the network's profitability has fallen below 1 billion since 2016. See, since 2016, what does that tell you? That's when Trump was elected. Trump pulled them out of that.
Yep.
They were below the billion.
Trump saved CNN.
Trump saved CNN, and now their Trump derangement's going to destroy CNN. From the Daily Caller, CNN's ratings have seen a significant drop in the past year, trailing both MSNBC and Fox. The network has garnered an average viewership of 639,000 in prime time this quarter, dropping 27% in the current quarter compared to the previous year. Licht, who's the new whatever, has focused on broadening the network's TV viewership. Well, what he's doing is not working because I see zero change. I know you said there have been tiny changes.
Very tiny.
But they have not lasted.
Well, you know what it is with CNN? The brand is damaged. It's beyond repair. It's a damaged brand.
We put it on sometimes because you'll have to watch it for the show. I don't see any difference.
No.
Once in a while, they have a moment of nonpartisanship, but they can't. As long as they have those people on, a leopard can't change its spots. This is who they are. These people have been ingrained and trained by Jeff Zucker to bash Trump, and they want to bash Trump. They can't let it go. They have to save this company. This guy has to fire everybody across the board, bring in a whole new crew. And believe me, there's plenty of talented people to choose from around the country that they can bring in that are real journalists. And you could do a turnover in like a week or two. I mean, you could really bring in people. Boom, you're gone, you're out, done. Send out.
Well, you know what I think happened.
But they won't do it. For some reason.
There were some slight changes in the way some of the on-air people handled themselves briefly when the new ownership came in, and now it didn't. They got comfortable. They're back to their old games. And this is a couple things here about this. This ratings decline that continues. I hope it continues while Newsmax is rising. I would love Newsmax to surpass MSNBC or CNN, and that's eventually
And
going to
Fox.
happen. Well, Fox,
All three networks are in trouble.
you know, the thing with Fox, okay, Fox is doing to themselves what CNN is doing. They're arrogant and they're in self-destruct mode. Rush used to talk about the mainstream liberal media. They didn't care that they have low ratings because they think they're doing what's right is so important. See, this is that's partially true, but there's another part to it. These media companies are owned by big corporations that are donors. Their own and what their purpose is not reporting news.
No.
It's to drive public opinion to benefit the politicians and the donors.
Exactly.
These
manipulation.
CNN isn't in the people that really own behind the scenes at CNN. It may be different with the new owners, but I'm talking about previously. And the same goes for Fox right now. They don't care as much about profitability as you think. It's not really that kind of business. They're in the business of pushing public opinion on to a certain thing to get people interested in this. And me personally, when I get up in the morning and I'm doing my show prep, the last thing I do is check. I'll check the Fox News website to see what's there, and I'll check CNN and see what's there just to see if there's some breaking news that I missed. And one time, many years ago, remember that plane crash flying out of New York? A lot of people think a rocket took it down, like Flight 800. That happened. That story broke right as I was about to go on the air, and I didn't check the news, and I missed it. And I was on the air for a while before I really. So I always am check, But anyway, the internet was a little newer than it is now.
I'm always checking Twitter and during the show.
So
I'm
checking all the time. But when I see a story on the Fox News website or the CNN website, it makes me not want to talk about it on the show because I don't want them pushing me to be interested in something. It happened a little bit to me today with this DeSantis thing they were hyping. As much as I love DeSantis, I was really didn't want to talk about it too much because Fox News was pushing it, and I know that Fox News has a devious thing here. They're promoting DeSantis to try to divide MAGA, and you just got to be very careful.
I mean, look, you have Democrats that are contributing to MAGA candidates because they're so deluded. They think those candidates will be easy to beat in the main election. So they're actually this is how these people play dirty. Fine, give them money because I don't think they're going to lose at all. But the Democrats are so upset over this. Well, why are they so upset? Obviously, they don't think they are going to be that easy to beat. Other than they wouldn't be so upset. And
exactly.
The Republicans are upset about it. Kinzinger, they're all upset about it. Why are they upset? Because they know these people can win. They don't want them getting that close to the finish line. So that's why they're upset. The liberals are delusional, and they think that they can. Hillary Clinton thought she could beat Trump. They were very good to Trump before the election. I said to you, wow, the media is so nice to him. It's crazy because he's a conservative. As soon as he won, boom, that was it. That was it.
Yeah,
but up until that point, they were really nice to, well, in the primary.
Because they didn't think it was a serious campaign.
In the primary, they were really nice to Trump.
They thought it was a publicity stunt.
I think because Hillary told them, I want to run against him because I can beat him. He's the one I can beat. He's a clown. He's this. So I misspoke. In the primary, they were very good to Trump. As soon as he won that primary,
that was it.
They started attacking him. But up until that point.
And stopped carrying the rallies.
That's right. Up until the primary, they were very nice to the guy. And I think when that change happened, I think he really had a hard time understanding what was going on because these were his friends. And he was in that media world. But Hillary, I think, told them, be very nice to Trump.
A lot of them went to his wedding.
Right. She went to his wedding.
Hillary
be very
did,
nice to him. I can beat him. I can't beat Bush, but I can beat him. He's a clown. He's an idiot. She wanted him to win that primary. So they have the same strategy here with these. The Democrats are contributing to MAGA candidates because they want them to win the primaries because they think that they will be easy to beat. Well, Hillary made the same mistake.
That's
right. I think they're really out of touch, obviously, with the American people. They underestimate Trump's support because they really lie to themselves. And Greg Gutfeld, I started recording his show at night. It's very funny. He's a very funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
He said liberals are totally not self-aware.
Not at all.
He said they have no clue that their ideas are totally wrong, that they're wrong. He said they think their opinions are facts. They think they're better and smarter than everyone. It doesn't occur to them that they're ever wrong. And he said they lie to themselves and they're just not self-aware of
That's
what's
true.
going on. And that's what's happening.
That's true. Well, listen, we are out of time for today, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Remember learning cursive as a kid? Well, they no longer teach this art form in school. But with the book by It's Just Jax, Crack the Cursive Code, available on Amazon, they can learn cursive in a fun and easy way. This is a 1,000-word adventure story filled with enough tongue-tie and alliteration to make reading fun while teaching the use of every letter of the alphabet. It also has black and white graphic illustrations that jump off the page and beg to be colored. Kids all around the country are losing the ability to read and write cursive. Don't let that happen to your kids or grandkids. Get this book and help them learn and appreciate the power of writing. Crack the Cursive Code by It's Just Jax on Amazon.